Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another solo show of the Integrative Health Coach Success Podcast. Happy to be with you all today to talk about a topic that I think is going to be really important no matter where you are in your coaching journey. I think for our more seasoned coaches, you're going to resonate a lot with this, and this may have been something you've already done and maybe need to revisit, or certainly it's important for those up and coming coaches or those just in the middle of their journey. So what we're going to talk about today is the importance of connection and community within the health coaching space and how you kind of build that with other health coaches. Now, what I think has always set the Integrative Health Coach Practitioner Institute apart is the fact that we have such an amazing community. There is support no matter where you turn, whether it's Facebook groups, lives, mentorships, all of the levels, mastery and level 3. No matter where you go within the kind of the realm of IHP, you are able to access community and support. I was thinking about how at the end of every single CPC mentorship that I have, there is this real overwhelming feeling from all of the students of, I don't want to lose this. Like, how do I continue this? And while they are learning an incredible amount of information, as far as lab reviews and information, quantitative data, and how to read labs and what it means and how to implement it with their clients, what I think so many of these students gain is the sense of community, accountability, and a place where they kind of don't feel alone. I mean, students share all the time questions, and then all of a sudden 5 other IHPs will chime in with, "Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you said that. I've been feeling that way, and I've been unsure about that too, but I didn't know if it sounded silly." It's a place where everybody can kind of feel like they belong. And it's why RHS, the Reimagining Health Summit, is so powerful, because all of a sudden, all of your people are in one place, sharing the same mission, the same dreams, the same hopes, and the same knowledge. And you feel this immense sense of belonging. And that is a basic human need, right? Community is a basic human need. And I think when you are building a health coaching practice, especially if it's a virtual practice, that need is amplified, because now you are at home and you might be, doing it all on your own, whether it's the business aspect and the coaching and the bookkeeping and all of the things. And having support from another person in the business who knows how all these things feel is really, really valuable. So I'm going to encourage you today to kind of flip comparison to more of a community mindset of, if I connect with more people, will it seem like I'm trying to take their ideas, or will they take mine? Or, I really should just do this on my own. It will be more successful. And I want you to understand the power of community and belonging, truly, and how it's going to benefit you from a business aspect, but also how it's going to support you emotionally. So I have a few talking points and we'll dive right in, but I hope you find it valuable. Okay, so the first talking point is to reframe the mindset from competition to community, right? I think a lot of new coaches can assume like this is a limited space and, there's not enough room for me if there's, room for, A, B, and C, or coach X, Y, and Z. And I want you to kind of really understand that the wellness space is expanding. It is not shrinking. If it feels like it's shrinking on you, try to expand your mindset to expansion and rather closing in on just you, right? Remember, you are part of a bigger mission. No one will take your clients. No one will, take your ideas. There is space for everyone. And by expanding and connecting, you really will get an incredible amount of fulfillment and support that you wouldn't get otherwise, right? We all serve different people in different ways. I could have the same niche as Susie, and we may talk about it very differently. We may connect with very different populations. We may have very different personal lives that different people will resonate with, right? So there's no one else with your exact voice, your exact story, your exact approach, your exact energy. You are unique to you. And just because there's someone else doing something similar doesn't mean you're in competition. It actually may be that you are both your greatest support for one another. Okay. Number two is going to be isolation can really slow growth. Okay. Trying to build a coaching practice alone often can lead to burnout, self doubt, lack of clarity. And without your peers as part of your kind of community, you can overthink decisions. You might stay stuck more easily than if you had others around you that you could kind of share your journey with. I think community provides perspective and it provides momentum. Okay. And if you have more of a community around you of people that understand what your business is like, what you're going through, what it takes, it's different than just relying on a spouse or a family member. And we're going to get into that talking point too. But again, trying to do it alone could lead to burnout quicker. And then the people that need to hear your voice and your message can't, right? Number three will be the power of a shared experience. So again, this kind of piggybacks on what I was just saying. Other coaches get it in a way that your other friends or family members or a spouse may not, right? They understand client challenges. They understand pricing struggles, what comes into play when you're trying to decide pricing. They understand content ideas, maybe the struggles of having to show up in multiple places, whether it's a live group or social media. And you can learn faster by hearing what others tried, what didn't work. Others may learn a lot from you, just as you're learning from others. And the beauty is we're all in different places. So if you're somewhere in the middle, coaches that are further behind you can learn from you, and you can learn from coaches that are further ahead. It's really no different. And I believe education in a general sense for children, there's a lot of coaching models like a Montessori model that believes that different age groups in classrooms is actually more advantageous because of what I just said. Younger students learn from older students. Older students actually get a lot of fulfillment from nourishing younger students and helping them along. And so I think that if you kind of take that mindset into the approach, if you are further ahead, find someone that you can kind of pull up. It will make you feel good. If someone's further ahead of you and you admire where they're at, reach out and ask if you can do a little bit of mentorship with them, or ask them what's working within their niche and their business. A lot of the people in our space, because we all started the same way, right? We all started from the beginning. We all remember what it was like to be there. And so many of us love helping others who are a little bit further along than us. Use the hope of, if they can be there, so can I. That's what's available for you. Okay. So the shared experience is powerful. All right. Number four is accountability can lead to business growth. It really does. This is why mentorship coaches and business coaches are so valuable, because having other coaches to check in with creates consistency. It creates follow through. You can do weekly goal check-ins, content posting commitments. You can practice coaching sessions together. And again, when you are sharing your experience, you don't feel so vulnerable that you're behind. You don't feel so vulnerable in the sense of, I'm the only one that's not getting it. When you're sitting in your home office alone and you're just focused on what is the experience for yourself, it can feel really limiting, and you can second guess all of the ways that you're not there yet. When you expand out into a group and you rely on others for connection, you realize that everybody kind of has an insecurity. Everybody is at a different place than they would really like to be. That's the part of the journey, right? Dr. Cabral, an incredibly successful practice, and he is still dreaming bigger, right? So while we can always look and say, like, they're where I want to be. The people that are where you want to be are probably dreaming beyond that, and they wish that they were further along in their journey, right? So it really needs to be that we are grateful for where we're at. We look back at how far we've come, and we are anchored and supported to those that are kind of further along than us, so that we have that borrowed hope that we're going to get there too. Okay. Number five is inspiration instead of comparison, right? So it's easy to scroll feel behind, compare yourself, flip the script, right? Instead of why are they ahead? What can I learn from them? I just talked about this without even knowing that this was my next my next point. So when you are thinking about what could I learn from this comparison, rather than getting down on yourself for not being where you should or could or want to be, celebrate their wins. It rewires your mindset for abundance. Again, what's available for others is also available for you. So if you're celebrating their wins and you're looking at it from abundance rather than lack, that is going to attract the same energy to your ability to grow and shine, right? Being around motivated people will raise your own standards. So being in a group of people who help to motivate you to be your best self, that is going to help raise your own standards of what is possible for you too. Okay. Collaboration is always greater than competition. Opportunities that come from connection are going to be incredibly valuable. You can do guest live workshops, right? You can go live on each other's Instagram pages. You could do referral partnerships, joint programs or challenges. You can grow faster together than you can alone. And I will give you some specific ways that I think that you can create, groups and this type of community. But it really is about thinking about it more from a collaboration standpoint than a competition standpoint. Okay, number 7, and I think that this is why this is one of my favorites and the most important in my opinion. And this is why I believe a lot of us in my mentorships will cry at the end of these programs, and these CPCs go on to form their own Facebook groups to further kind of support others, is because emotional support matters way more than you think, especially if you are a woman building this business in isolation in your own home. There's a lot of beauty to the flexibility of that. But sometimes isolation can feel emotionally depleting, right? So entrepreneurship, I believe, is emotional. There's a lot of things that go wrong. There's a lot of things that go great, right? But rejection, slow growth, imposter syndrome, those are all emotional parts of entrepreneurship. And whether you can see that in someone's highlight reel doesn't mean it's not there, or it wasn't there at one point. And so being able to understand that everybody kind of goes through this process within entrepreneurship is incredibly important. And just by emotionally connecting to others, you feel supported and validated, which builds your confidence, right? A supportive community will remind you you're not failing, you're learning. We're all learning. Any of us, no matter at what level we're at, we're still learning. Dr. Cabral learns every single day. I'm learning every single day. You are not, if you think that you're there, that's almost when you get stuck, right? If you're still learning, you're still growing and you're still building and you're becoming the best version of yourself for all those people who need you. Sometimes what we need most is encouragement and emotional support, and not more strategy. Yes, the strategy matters, and all of those tools are incredibly important. But if you've tried those and you're still feeling stuck, the emotional encouragement and support that comes from close community, whether it's 1 or 2 coaches, or whether you build, 4 people, or you do a little mastermind of 6 people, or you just meet weekly over Zoom with a few people. One of my favorite parts of working on the Equalife team is coach meetings. And when the coaches all get together and we talk about our caseloads, but sometimes we also talk about hard client cases and why maybe something didn't work that we thought was going to. I last week did a live and there was a coach, who asked about a client with ALS, and I broke down in tears because it brought back the memories of a client who I worked with ALS. And unfortunately, that client ended up passing on. And his death was a huge part of my own practice. I grieved that for a long time. And I was able to kind of see where this client was at with wanting to offer or excuse me, this coach was at with this client and wanting to offer them so much hope, but also being scared and realistic to the eventual outcome of this disease. And again, I think the emotional connection there was probably what that coach needed more than the strategy. Yes, the strategy matters, what supplements to use, how to approach it. But knowing that another coach had gone through something similar, and honestly, that experience grew me as a coach in more ways than I could have imagined. I was very close with him. I was very close with his family at the end, and while it was a really sad outcome, I grew in many ways, and being able to relate to other clients going forward was the greatest gift he ever gave me. Um, so again, don't underestimate needing emotional support in this process. The business stuff matters, yes, but because this is an emotional business, entrepreneurship is emotional in general, right? Whether you're building a company that's going to make, I don't know, hats or something, right? That business is emotional. There's ups and downs, but we are in an emotional business of helping people, creating connections, and working in a personal way. And so I think it's twofold here. And being able to have a community of, again, whether it's one, two, or several coaches who you can rely on to say, like, this was a hard day. A spouse can understand that, but not to the degree of another empathic coach, in my opinion, right? My husband was there for me when I lost this client, and he was supportive, but not in the way that some other coaches I was able to talk to were, truly, because they understood the amount of love and the amount of time, energy, and truly connection that goes into working with clients. And when you lose that, how emotional it can be. So again, encouragement and emotional support can sometimes be the greatest strategy in growing your business. Okay, so some practical ways that you can kind of build your coaching circle, right? You can join all of the ways that IHP offers communities, right? Whether it's an extended mentorship through the CPC program, whether it's through the Facebook Lives, whether it is through doing the teachings, the live workshops that we do, whether it is through doing mastery, right? There's so many ways that IHP offers community and continuing to kind of further along and foster relationships with other coaches. But you could also start your own like small mastermind, just a Zoom of, hey, these are the 4 coaches that I'm closest to. And one of the other coaches might have 2 coaches that she's close to. So you form a group of 7 of you, and you meet over Zoom once a week to just bounce ideas off each other, talk about what's going well, what's not going well, share success, share the hard days, and you're able to kind of use one another as sounding boards. You can, create these communities through Instagram, reaching out to coaches who are in the same niche as you that you may not have met yet, but you're both IHPs. You can attend workshops and trainings, right? All of the things that IHP offers. You could just have one accountability buddy where you guys are just kind of coaching besties and you help one another work through all of the inevitable challenges, but really celebrating your wins together too, because that's just as much an important part of this. And what I want to leave you with is truly there is room for everyone. I cannot emphasize this enough. People choose coaches based on so many different things. It's not just your training or what you know. People choose coaches based on energetic connection, personality, your values, what your personal life is like. Is it like theirs, right? We're naturally more attached and drawn towards someone else's personal story being similar to ours. Your communication styles. You can be in the same niche and still have very different clienteles and attract very different people. And if you keep yourself small, the people who need your style, your energy, your connection, they're not going to find you, and they need you. It is so important for you to understand and truly believe. Okay. So my closing message, You don't have to do it alone. I believe the most successful coaches are really rarely isolated. They are connected. I think about a lot of the successful IHPs that I know, and they are well connected. They have a huge community of people who are a little further behind than them and a little further along than them. They are always learning. They are always connected. They are always improving their ability to show up. Community isn't a nice to have. I believe it is a must have and your best growth strategy. Okay, I hope you enjoyed today's show and all of those talking points. If you don't have even one accountability partner, or you're not connected to even one IHP coach, I truly suggest that you do that. And if you are, maybe find out the other coaches that they're connected to and form a little mastermind. It really is an incredible way to continue to have emotional business support ongoing and to make you as successful as you absolutely could be. All right. Thanks again for tuning in. Look forward to our next solo chat. Bye, everyone.